I'm standing in my kitchen again. I think I'm going to make this a regular thing. It makes a lot of sense. Housekeeping. I am starting to publish my show notes on Substack, which I thought would be useful because the beginning half of the episode, or however much it takes up the episode, where I talk about things on the internet and click on these links on my computer that you cannot see, I decided I should be posting them somewhere so you can actually look at what I'm talking about. It's sort of a news digest, a food digest, if you will. So, I don't even know what my Substack link is. Maybe I'll post it in the show. Obviously, I don't know how to manage anything, a podcast, even though I'm on my 49th. This is the 49th episode. I think my Substack is my name, Caroline Fitzhenry Mort. Anyway, let me get into it. And again, these updates will be on Substack with links, plentiful links. I try not to talk about Olive Garden every week, but I am going to talk about it twice this episode. I actually haven't been to an Olive Garden since about 2018. The only reason I went is I was on a road trip with Brian, and he tricked me into eating at an Olive Garden in West Virginia. He said he had a gift card, which was not true. So we ate there. He was wearing a all beige outfit, so he completely blended into the restaurant and basically disappeared. The real reason I'm bringing up Olive Garden for the first time this episode is this horrifying story that came out about a Olive Garden cook who jumped headfirst into the deep fryer. The most confusing part of the story to Brian was, what are they deep frying at Olive Garden? I can't think of a single menu item that is deep fried in an Italian restaurant. So, why have a whole deep fryer? Anyway, according to the fine folks of Reddit, people are saying that he was on PCP. Allegedly on PCP. Which I hope is true, since PCP blocks your pain receptors. I also saw a comment that he had worked at Olive Garden for 37 years, which doesn't seem possible, so I'm going to skip past that. Related, another tragic food story that caught my attention is the Ballerina Farm raw milk recall. I've talked about Ballerina Farm on here. The Mormons. They're Mormon. They live in Utah. The husband, it's a couple. The husband's dad owns JetBlue. So they're just playing house in Utah. They have a dairy farm. They have stores. They make products. They sell products, food products. And they sell raw milk for human consumption. You can sell raw milk in North Carolina, but only for animal consumption. Of course, you can just label it like that and people buy it for themselves. In Utah, you can sell, I looked up the laws very briefly, but I believe that you can sell raw milk to other humans. I don't think you can distribute it in like a supply chain. So it seems like somebody died from this. I saw an article about a pregnant woman consuming this milk and dying. I don't know if this is 100% true. At the very least, someone got sick. And, I did have the rise of the increase. Sorry to quote myself. So I made a 2025 bingo card last year, and I did include a square that said increase in deaths associated with raw milk consumption. So in a way, I am winning my bingo card that I'm still going. I've kept it going from 2025. I didn't do a 2026 card because it's just impossible to predict what's going to happen these days. I will say that I have had raw milk before in New Mexico. from a cow named Princess. It felt safe. It was from a singular cow that this woman owned up on a hill. We drank it. Well, it's not the smartest thing I've ever done. And we shared it with people. I was doing food for a film festival and we got some raw milk. I would never do it again. I was a little bit naive at the time. This was like 5 or 6 years ago. I actually was supposed to go back to Truth or Consequences, New Mexico in a few weeks, but I'm not going to go for some reason. I don't know why, but something's telling me not to go. And maybe it's because my future self knows that I would get into a situation where I'm drinking raw milk again. I guess third piece of terrible food news is Kickback Jacks. Kickback Jacks, the lawsuit. I've talked about Kickback Jacks before. It is a puzzling chain that the name makes it sound maybe Australian or something. I think it's like a Hooters meets like a Applebee's. I don't know. I've never actually been inside of one. Anyway, there's a big lawsuit. They have to pay $11 million for refusing to hire men because, they hire sexy women probably. Found this lawsuit through the EEOC.gov website, which is a very juicy website, which I would recommend. EEOC is the U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, in case you didn't know. So if you go on the homepage, it's basically a news site with all of the latest settlements and lawsuits against people's employers. Pretty juicy. Okay. I'm going to issue a correction. I previously stated that Poppy had a Shirley Temple flavored soda. That's wrong. It's Olipop. Can you tell the difference between any of these? There's like 40 different prebiotic all-natural soda brands in Whole Foods, none of which have a lemon lime flavor. I actually looked for the Shirley Temple Olipop flavor now that I realized the errors in my ways, but I couldn't find it. My Whole Foods does not carry it. I've never tried an Olipop. They are at Whole Foods. They go on sale for $3 a can, so I probably won't be buying one anytime soon. All right, another update from last week. I talked about wanting to go on a food tour in Italy, a very, very expensive food tour. I said it was $7,000. It's actually like over 6,000 euros, so it's probably way more than $7,000, and that doesn't include travel, like airfare. I think what I really want is to go on an Arthur Schwartz food tour, which doesn't exist anymore, but he used to do food tours through Italy. I think that's what I'm longing for. Also, I don't think I would actually enjoy a food tour. I do not like being a tourist. I've been on food tours through Rome before and was not impressed by anything. So I don't know what I'm thinking. I think what appeals to me about I think it's called Via Rosa food tours, is the interaction with locals making, food that you might not be able to just find on your own as a tourist. I guess you're paying for access is what you're paying for, which does appeal to me. Anyway, I'll think about it. An update about my cat, Daddy. My cat named Daddy woke up the other night to him playing with a mandarin. He's rolling a mandarin around like a basketball. I don't know where he got it from because they are in the fridge. He is also really into blueberries, beans, and field peas. Okay, moving on to Whole Foods cookie bar updates. My sister went to the Whole Foods cookie bar and reported back that the Mexican wedding cookies are great, but she doesn't love the lemon sandwich cookie that I loved and compared to a Pepperidge Farm Brussels cookie, the variety that will break your teeth. I met with my former supervisor last week, as we always do. We love to talk about food, and I told her I'm on the market for black and white cookies. If you find any in the triangle, please let me know. I need black and white cookies. And she said, have you ever heard of a cookie table? And I said I had. Cookie tables, but I didn't really know. Like, I've heard of them. They seem to be sort of somewhat trendy thing on the internet. They are a very micro-regional thing in Ohio. Ohio seems to have a lot of micro-regional cuisines or sandwich types or other things. So my former supervisor, who has lived in Ohio for a long time, said that it's a what was the word I was about to say? Tradition, particularly in the Youngstown area. She said it's more of a Catholic, Eastern European, German, Irish heritage thing. My former supervisor said she actually had 3 weddings in Ohio, but not once a cookie table because she was in the Columbus area. This reminded me, well, first of all, so I guess the wedding cake takes a back seat and it's like thousands and thousands of cookies. First of all, like, nobody's eating that many cookies. It just kind of, I mean, do you need that many? I don't know. Who's making them? I mean, I guess it's probably keeping bakeries alive. So I'm going to support this tradition. It does remind me, my dad is from Ohio and all his family still lives there. And when I was younger, we were invited to my cousin's wedding in Ohio. And my parents would not let me go because they didn't want me to see a 19-year-old getting married. They didn't want me to know that that was a possibility. So I've never been to a wedding in Ohio. I told my former supervisor this story and she said, how old were you that they were trying to shield you from this? And I was trying to remember. I don't actually know. Maybe like I was 14. But I realized that when I'm trying to remember a story from my family home and figure out what era it was from, I will often be able to date a memory based on what room of the house the computer room was, like where the computer was located in the house. First, it was in the spare bedroom. Then it was in the guest room. Then it was in the living room. But then it was upstairs in a nook. Or maybe vice versa towards the end. But computer eras, which also, if you haven't listened to Tim and Eric's song, Returning Your Bedroom Back into the Computer Room, I would definitely recommend that. Actually, I'm going to include that link in my Substack. Hold on, let me make a note about it. Okay, the next news item is that the university press that I work for does a community dinner every year with Mama Dip, who had restaurants in the area for a long time. Unfortunately, they closed. And she did publish multiple cookbooks with the press that I'm at. So there's a community dinner every year. I think it's at a middle school this time. And I want to support, I mean, it's very expensive. I want to support and go to it. But here's the thing. I want to experience the local tradition of this all and support local food, but it's a bunch of people bringing food from their homes and then you eat it all together, which is my nightmare. And I don't know if I can do it. So I might have to sit that one out. Communitydinner.org if you're interested in donating. Here's the next update. One of my sisters, said that she made the pasta e fagioli recipe that I wrote down and gave to her years ago, which I forgot about. She sent me the recipe, so here it is. It's called pasta fagioli with meatballs. It's just directions. There aren't any ingredients. 1. Sear tiny meatballs in olive oil in a Dutch oven. Remove. 2. Deglaze pot with wine or vinegar and add diced onion, a diced carrot, olive oil. Cook until soft. 3. Add garlic, thyme, pepper, chili flakes, and a heap of tomato paste. Cook until the bottom of the pan is brown. 4. Deglaze the pot with chicken stock. Slowly add more chicken stock, then a Parmesan rind. Let cook for 3 hours on low. There should be enough stock left to cook pasta. 5. Add a can of cannellini beans, not drained, just some liquid poured off, chopped Swiss chard, and the meatballs. Cook for another 40 minutes. 6. Stir in pasta just before ready to eat and cook until done. Add water if necessary. You'll want there to be some liquid remaining after the pasta is cooked. Serve with parm, pepper, and olive oil. My sister sent a picture of this. She said it was incredible. She made miniature pork meatballs. I think I had beef meatballs in my mind when making this, but pork actually sounds fabulous. And I think mine tended to be on the soupier side. My sister's looked drier, but it still looked amazing. It could work either way, I guess. I think I started making pasta fazool a lot when I was watching The Sopranos. The last time I made pasta fazool, one of my dear listeners' children FaceTimed me while I was eating it, and this child was also eating pasta fazool at the same time. So I'm thinking maybe if I make it again, the same thing might happen. But I won't reveal when that happens to see if there is a psychic connection happening. Okay, I want to mention that I attended a virtual conference for work. This is not food related, but I needed you to know this. I attended a virtual conference for work that seems to have originally been planned for the week of Halloween, because first of all, there are only 4 presentations for this virtual conference, but everybody's event titles and slide decks were Halloween/death themed. At no point during the conference did anybody address this or that it was originally scheduled for Halloween and changed. It's been months since Halloween, so you would think that people would have time to change and edit the word crypt or graveyard out of their event titles. So that was really perplexing. It reminded me of the time that I was hosting a conference and the keynote speaker, we flew him out, and he's like this huge renowned lawyer. We flew him out and he was going to give this big keynote presentation or, close out the conference. And his presentation was he took pictures of all of his coffee mugs that had like "Live, Laugh, Love" slogans on them, and presented a slideshow of them. That was his keynote. Anyway, speaking of work, I'm probably going to Baltimore at the end of the month, beginning of March, for a work trip, and I'm trying to figure out what I want to eat there. What should I do there? ? Watch a bridge collapse? I am a little worried for Brian and what he'll eat during this time. I mean, he's perfectly capable of cooking for himself. I just feel like he won't. The last time I went out of town for work, he accidentally ordered a gallon of egg drop soup and just ate that all week. We actually still have 1 quart of it in our freezer, which I need to get rid of. So I can't wait to see what happens this time. So, places to eat in Baltimore. There's a place called, in all capital letters, Gallery Food Now. The Food Now is one word. It's an Incan Mexican fusion restaurant with great reviews. I am very weary of fusion restaurants, but this one sort of looks like a casual hole-in-the-wall family place, which is more my speed. The type of place that Jonathan Gold would have reviewed. When I think of fusion restaurants, I typically think of like a nightmarish 90s bistro in New York where a bunch of men with goatees eat, or like the Sex and the City women would go eat at on a date. The last time I was in Baltimore, I think I had Afghani food, and I think there's a sizable Afghani food scene going on there. There's a place near Johns Hopkins that I'm looking at, more of a hole-in-the-wall spot. And I'm staying in a hotel near the downtown area that is basically called Hotel Near the Downtown Area and the Convention Center, which is a gorgeous name for a hotel. Okay, I'm going to get into my scent reviews now. I have quite a few of them, so buckle up. Okay, I'm going to butcher all these names. Maison Francis Kirk John Aqua Universalis. The official description. This is a unisex citrus aromatic fragrance launched in 2009 designed to evoke cleanliness and freshness, often described as white linen or clean sheets. It features key notes of lemon, bergamot, lily of the valley, orange blossom, and light, airy white musks. This smells almost exactly like... Okay, so sorry, that's the end of the official description, and this is where my description comes in. This smells almost exactly like what my grandmother wore, the original scent that made me think that scents were for me. And another scent that reminds me of my grandmother is the Niagara brand starch spray. Probably because she was always ironing. My overall review of this, I liked it. I liked the layering of musk with the white florals. It's very neroli-esque. It's like that neroli scent that I'm looking for, but with a musky component that I'm also looking for. So I did like that. Okay, sorry, my cat is slapping his food mat behind me, which sounds like he's walking around in flip-flops. Can you stop? Okay, maybe I shouldn't be recording this in the kitchen. Okay, next scent, Jo Malone, basil and neroli. This is my take. Earthy, green take on neroli. Smells like a hot summer garden with peppery tomato leaf notes. Fades into a 90s Doubletree Hotel soap. The official description, top notes, basil. The herbaceous warmth of basil with a peppery edge adds an unexpected twist to the vibrant citrus notes. Heart notes, neroli. Neroli is a green floral note, wonderfully clean and fresh. It infuses the fragrance with the elegant scent of orange flower. Base note, white musk, a powdery, clean note that enhances the trail of the scent, adding a softness that endures. This was fun. I don't get basil from it, but I do get hot summer garden. I liked it. I don't know if I love it. Okay, we're back to Maison Francis Kirk Dion Baccarat Rouge 540. This is my review. This smells like a creamsicle flavored fluoride gel from the dentist in the 90s. Then it completely disappeared. Thank God. This was disgusting. I can't believe this is one of the most expensive perfume samples that I ordered. Ooh. Okay, in like the late 90s, early 2000s, if you went to the dentist as a child, at least for me, they would take this mouth guard, this styrofoam mouth guard, and they would say, what flavor gel do you want us to put into it? And the options were like mint or orange creamsicle. Obviously, I chose orange creamsicle. It was foul. It was like I'm wincing. Like, you know, when you eat like a lemon or a kiwi and it makes the back of your mouth tingle. It was like that. It was cold. It was sour. And it smelled like a paste. Ooh, that's exactly what this perfume smelled like. It smelled like a dental product. Oh my God. I'm shivering thinking about it. Let me click on the website so I can give you the official description because it's nothing like what I just read to you. Okay. The inspiration. Born from the encounter between... Okay, who cares? Francis Kirkjian wanted to convey the poetic alchemy of crystal making in this woody, ambery, floral fragrance. Okay. In the top notes, the breezy facets of jasmine flowers and the radiance of saffron evoke the aura of air. They are highlighted by an accord evoking ambergris and dry woody notes, embodying the mineral aura. Lastly, the aura of fire is suggested by the addictive sensuality of ethyl maltol, a note with gourmand facets. Luminous and refined, Baccarat Rouge 540 caresses the skin with an enveloping woody ambery floral whisper. An inimitable graphic and extremely condensed olfactory signature with long-lasting silage. I mean, this is just like a straight up lie, unless they sent me like did they put like a cleaning chemical product in there by accident? I don't know. Truly mysterious to me. Sorry if that's your favorite perfume. Okay, moving on to Gaiac by M. Micallef. So this also initially smelled like some sort of dental product to me, but it was very warm and spicy and woody on my skin. The clove and vanilla notes cheapened it for me. That's my review. Here's the official note. A woody fragrance for men. Gaiac was launched in 2005. The nose behind this fragrance is Jean-Claude Astier. Top note is bergamot. Middle notes are cloves and jasmine. Base notes are guaiac wood, vanilla, amber, vetiver. I keep saying vetiver and I'm like, why don't I just Google what these things are? I didn't know that vetiver was a grass, first of all. Why does it smell like that if it's just a grass? Vetiver is also used as a flavoring. Also, how do you pronounce it? I don't know how to pronounce anything. When it's used as a flavor, it is called khus, Khus, which is apparently used in Shirley Temples. Incredible. Okay. Speaking of grass scents, why does it smell so bad? Why don't they just bring back the 90s Gap fresh cut grass scents? Fresh cut grass, the scent from the Gap, was my first introduction to abstracted smells. Besides going to the Yankee Candle store and seeing a candle called The Beach, which blew my mind. It reminds me, and I'm going to link it, of this essay. Actually, I think it was originally a Twitter thread from 2022 by Alex McMillan, called The Yankee Candle's States of Abstractions. And they do level 1, scents where where the scent represents a physical object, where the object's aroma is one of its distinct properties. Example, black cherry, fresh mint. Level 2, the scent represents a physical object in a specific state, where the aroma represented is not necessarily that of an object, but rather representative of that object's state. Clean cotton, balancing sandalwood, and rose. Level 3, the scent represents a location or event where the aroma is supposed to be reminiscent of an intrinsic property held by a collective of objects, where that property doesn't necessarily affect the collective's aroma. Cliffside sunrise or mountain lodge, for example. Level 4, the scent represents an event with an intrinsic property. This temporal aroma is devoid of location or physical property, but a shared idea of the property is still understood. Autumn sunset, winter night stars, for example. Level 5, the scent represents a fully personal experience with some unrelated property. The experience itself has no aroma or shared understanding. Sunny daydream, snowflake kisses. Level 6, the scent represents an abstract location or experience which has some shared understanding but is ultimately fully personal. The aroma tries to replicate an idea as opposed to a location. The last paradise, wedding day, trademarked. Level 7, the scent represents only an intrinsic property, and a property that itself has no aroma, nor does it affect the aroma of any object of which it is a property. All is bright, starry slumber, for example. Level, I don't know my Greek letters. Level Greek letter. The scent represents a property detached from any object. The absence of an object is in fact part of the scent. Total abstraction. Sweet nothings. Inspire. I, maybe it's a little bit too theoretical for me to fully comprehend, but I feel like a lot of those, like it could have just been like 3 levels. I think the distinctions between each level is like a little bit too much. Anyway, back to fragrances. I layered Le Labo Bergamo over the Gaiac, and the heaviness of the Gaiac on my skin, when I sprayed the Le Labo Bergamo over it, the fresh acidity, the kick of it reminded me of opening a bottle of Olive Garden Italian salad dressing and getting that bold vinegary punch. It smelled exactly like Olive Garden Italian dressing, and that is my second Olive Garden reference this episode. I don't think it'll happen again. I want to update you on what my cat Daddy smelled like this week. There are a few days where he smelled a little bit like wood shavings or a Home Depot, but for the majority of the week he smelled like butter. I did have some listener feedback about scents, some of my scent reviews from last week. I don't want to violate HIPAA, seeing as this listener feedback is in relation to a medical event. This anonymous listener said that, okay, well now I don't remember how I'm supposed to pronounce it. Petit grain, petit grain, petit grain, petit grain, petit grain. I think is how you're supposed to say it. It's supposed to help you with anxiety, depression, and even asthma. Apparently, this listener's doula recommended it as something to help get you through childbirth, which is an interesting revelation for me because, so if you recall, petit grain is related to neroli. It's the green part of the plant. I have a strong reaction to this scent, which I mostly chalked up to nostalgia, seeing as my grandmother wore these scents, but I'm starting to think that there's something more to it than that. They do transport me when I smell them, and I think there's a higher effect to it than just nostalgia. Okay, let's move into my internet links. Oh my God, there are quite a few. And of course, I didn't leave myself notes because I love to torture and surprise myself. Radio Bakery in New York. They're doing meatball subs. Well, this is from 5 days ago, so it already happened. Never mind, but they looked good. Sorry about that. TikTok link, mysterious TikTok link. Let's check it out. Ooh. Yeah, I don't know what language this is in. Maybe Polish. No, not Polish. I don't know. Basically, this person took a bunch of apples, cut them in half, baked them in a baking dish, roasted them, added a little bit of strawberry jam for coloring, added a lot of gelatin. Sorry, I skipped a step. Once they're roasted, they blended it. Added gelatin and strawberry jam for coloring. Then they whipped it. They whipped it in a stand mixer with the whisk attachment. Then they're putting it into a plastic lined Tupperware container, letting it set, and then it sort of turns into like a jelly bread. It kind of looks like styrofoam. It looks squishy and airy and spongy. It looks like a kitchen sponge. It reminds me of those like rice-based desserts that are like a loaf that are cut up and sliced and put onto a styrofoam container in Korean or like Vietnamese places. Anyway, actually, now that I'm looking at the language, maybe it's like Slovenian. I don't know. Georgian maybe. It's interesting. The people in the comments are going crazy, but in Slovenian, so I don't know what they're saying, but people seem to like it. Okay. This next TikTok video is also a mystery. I did leave a note for myself. Got the shivers. These strudels look so bad. Ooh, okay, I'm remembering this one. This is a TikTok video called Top 3 Austrian Strudels by _Natalie_DE. Yeah, why do these strudels look so bad? They look so full and dry. Ooh. Like there's an apple one, looks so dry. The apples look dead. Then there's a cherry, looks horrendous, looks so dry. And then there's a quark strudel. I don't know what quark is, but it looks like a pastry cream that is... Ooh, I do not like pastry cream. Like I can taste the flour in it. Stop doing that. Okay, let's click on this other mysterious TikTok video that I left for myself. Ooh, this is a pastry that I liked. It's from Popham's. I think they're in London. It's a rhubarb and pink pepper Danish. Wow. I will share the link. It looks amazing. The pink jam that they put into the center of the pastry is gorgeous. Oh shoot, I just exited out of my food log. Hold on. Okay, I'm back. I do want to mention Off Menu, the podcast, had Joe Wilkinson on like 2 years ago. I'm a huge Joe Wilkinson fan, and I would recommend listening to his episode. He talked about a lot of interesting foods that I would like to make, mostly that were probably in his freezer. One of which is chicken Kiev, which I don't think I've ever had, but I would definitely like to make it. It's like chicken, but it's garlic bread. So I want to make that. I saw that elbow bread. Shout out to Zoe, she did all the wedding cakes at Milk Bar when I worked there. She is doing a New York Charlotte Russe for Valentine's Day, which I realize I'm mispronouncing. You're supposed to say it a different way locally. I've always seen these, but I never knew what they were. They're delightful. I think I like it so much because I had a plastic version growing up that came with like a Fisher-Price kitchen. But it's like it's like a white cardboard ring with pink polka dots on it, light pink polka dots. And then there's cake layered in the ring, and then it's filled up in a mountain of whipped cream with a little cherry on top. I didn't realize that it's like a old school New York bakery staple. You can buy these plastic collars, and it's actually a push pop device. I had no idea. And you push it up from the bottom as you eat the whipped cream so you can get to the cake. What else? Corey Larkin did a banya cauda for the Super Bowl, which looked delicious. I'll link the TikTok video in my Substack. This would not go over well at my local Super Bowl party. I've tried making, I would say very standard foods from continental Europe, and people scoff. Tiramisu is a little too foreign to bring to events down here sometimes. I had someone tell me once to stop bringing German food to family gatherings. It was too foreign. So yeah, continental Europe is a little bit too foreign. I think the bagna cauda is Italian. Looks great though. What else? Here's a link. Angry Orchard is doing this dumb campaign what is it called? It's called Exchange. You mail the things that your ex left at your house to Angry Orchard, and they donate it for you. I mean, sounds like a tax scheme, first of all. Second of all, like, who's receiving all these boxes, and what are they actually doing with them? Are they just throwing them away? As someone who I used to work as a buyer at a vintage clothing store and received many bags, mysterious bags of other people's clothing and items. This sounds like a health code nightmare. I hope they're receiving all these mysterious hoodies and whatever these exes left at people's houses in a separate building from where they're making the cider. Who's doing this? I mean, I guess it's working because I'm talking about it. That's the point. Okay. I am watching Alone season 11, which is set in the Arctic Circle, which I'm realizing that Alone is basically a weight loss journey show. It is interesting to watch what they eat. I mean, they're just eating meat and getting sick. Meat and fish. I looked up their location on Google Maps, or at least I tried to, and it's up in the Arctic Circle on the Mackenzie River Delta, and there are a bunch of bird sanctuaries there, one of which is Kendall Island Bird Sanctuary. I really liked the following Google review. Quote, "Never thought I'd see a bird here," which, yeah, I didn't think birds lived up there either. I'm also watching Traders. This is food related because Kristen, the new Top Chef host, is on this season. They did a banquet episode a couple episodes ago, and she made a toast. She was like crying and saying something along the lines of, "I truly believe that we were all meant to be here. We were all chosen to be here." Which, yes, you were all chosen by NBC casting because you're all affiliated with NBC. That is the point of the show. It's cross-promotional. Okay, and my last link is a mysterious link that I've left myself. Let me click it. Oh, my mom sent me a recipe for Chihuahua style potato soup, which has cheese in it. I'll share the link on my Substack. Okay, let's get into what I ate last week. February 2nd, 2026. It was a Monday. 8 a.m. Stoke cold brew with half and half. 10 a.m. a bowl of cornflakes with milk. 1 p.m. Whole Foods assorted entertainment crackers with my two sons' fiery jalapeno pimento cheese and one roasted peanut M&M. 5 p.m. spaghetti with sugo picante di salchicha and parmesan made at home. 6:30 p.m. Bluebell coffee ice cream with malt and a small end piece of the banana bread. Okay, so I think Brian and I were both home due to weather again. North Carolina really does not know how to handle ice or snow. I mean, I can't shovel my driveway because it's a half a mile of gravel, so we really don't have anywhere to go in these scenarios. And nobody will deliver packages to me in these cases either, which turns into a mess. So I took a walk down to the river because I wanted to see if it was frozen or not. I was FaceTiming my mom. When I got home, my obese cat had thrown the Whole Foods assorted entertainment crackers all over the floor. Brian claims that he didn't hear or know about any of this, even though he was 10 feet away in the other room. We live in a 900 square foot home. There's no way he didn't know this happened. But also, I mean, Brian will put a load of laundry in the dryer and not notice that it sounds like we're operating a rock tumbler with all the coins rattling, knives rattling around in there. Every few months or so, I reach into the dryer and accidentally pull out a knife. Sometimes he leaves Sharpies in his pockets and they scribble all over our clothes. My mom, when I FaceTime my mom, she was complaining to me that my dad had made a pasta bake over the weekend with Bob Evans breakfast sausage. My mom was mad about it. But then I realized I was about to do the same thing. Wait, did I make it? Yeah. So I made spaghetti with sugo picante di salchicha and parmesan with mystery sausage. So it was free sausage, which is mysterious by nature. A free sausage from Brian's mom's cousin's husband, who is down east. They have thousands of acres of farmland. I forget what they grow. Collards, maybe tobacco. I don't know. Big time farmers. They live near pork processing plants, so they get free sausage. They gave the sausage to Brian's parents. They hate pork, so they gave it to us. Big, round spiral link of sausage. Wasn't labeled. Have no idea what the flavoring is. Fat content, no idea. So I decided to make an Italian sauce with it, which was a bit of an experiment. I figured it was something similar to like a breakfast style sausage, like a local southern sausage, not an Italian sausage, I would say. It's a little too foreign. It's continental Europe. So I would say that it was sage, pepper, salt. It was probably at least 30% fat. It was an incredibly fatty sausage. So anyway, I made this recipe and it was the mystery sausage. I uncased it and I ground it up, or, just like browned it in pieces in the pan, added garlic, onion, Chinese chili flakes, passata, and a Parmesan rind and let it cook. That was it. Super simple. It was good. Oh, and I had a little bit of, did I add wine to it? No, I didn't. Sorry. Yeah, it was great. So here's some questions that I have. Why don't Italians make beef sausage? And then I realized that's what a meatball is. Meatballs, well, the internet is telling me that pork has a milder flavor. It's fat and meat emulsifies better than beef. Beef is too crumbly. Pork fat has a lower melting point and stays softer when the temp lowers. So it's more suitable for sausage making than beef. Fair enough. Anyway, I was trying to figure out, I always make sausage tomato sauces and I never know what to call them. So I did some sleuthing on the internet and I found, first of all, I found this Italian beef sausage recipe sponsored by the New York City Beef Council. Yikes. So people are making beef sausage. Why didn't I link? Oh, here it is. So when I was trying to figure out what this sauce is called, I found this Marcella Hazan's recipe for rigatoni col sugo picante di salsiccia. Why is it blocking me from reading the recipe? Let me try something real quick. And it's super simple. And the crazy thing about it is it uses breakfast sausage, which is exactly what my dad did and made my mom mad. And of course now it's blocking me from reading it. That's wonderful. It's basically exactly what I did, but with breakfast sausage, which I thought was a funny coincidence. Anyway, that's that. What else? Oh, I have an update for you about Dietz's. So I'm slowly eating this bag of Dietz's malt in my freezer on the coffee ice cream. My dad likes to send me bags of malt. This one's probably 4 years old at this point. Maybe older. Starting to lose its flavor. So I emailed Dietz's because we get chocolate covered pretzels from my dad every year. And this time every single pretzel was only 2/3 of the pretzel. They were all missing one of the corners. So I emailed them. Here's what I emailed them. Hi, I'm curious why the chocolate pretzels are all missing 1/3 of the pretzel. They were great, by the way. They said, hi, Caroline, we use full-size pretzels in our 1/2 pound and 1 pound boxes, as well as our 1 pound bags. But for our 1/2 pound bags, we use some of our pretzels that are missing a loop to help cut down on pretzel waste. Smaller pieces are then coated and used in our ice cream. That email was from the Dietz's Brothers website administrator in Findlay, Ohio. Thank you for your answer. That makes a lot of sense, and I'm glad that you are cutting down on waste however you can. Side note, I was trimming my fingernails into a small bowl while I was waiting for this pasta to cook, making the sauce, waiting for it to cook out, and my fingernails look like the dry ass pre-shaved Parmesan at the grocery store. And I thought, this is dangerous. I need to not be trimming my fingernails in the kitchen ever. February 3rd, 2026. It was a Tuesday, 8:30 a.m. Counterculture coffee with half and half made at home. 9 a.m. A bowl of cornflakes with milk. 12 p.m. Whole Foods assorted entertainment crackers with my two sons' fiery jalapeno pimento cheese. 2:30 p.m. Kettle jalapeno potato chips. 6 p.m. Shells with leftover sugo picante di salsiccia and parmesan. 8 p.m. Bluebell coffee ice cream. Yeah, I did eat the leftover broken crackers that fell on the floor for lunch. Some notes for this day that I wrote down. I finally cleaned my Mocha Master, and it didn't make the coffee taste any better. I thought maybe this counterculture coffee tasted bad because my coffee machine was dirty. I don't know what's going on. It actually this week doesn't taste as bad, so I'm not sure what was going on. But I am switching it up, and I'm going with a different local roaster. I think I have a bag coming today, a 5-pound bag from Little Waves. I'll let you know how it goes. I'm eating cornflakes. I've switched up to cornflakes. I will be back to bran flakes soon, I'm sure. It is strange to eat a bowl of corn in the morning. The Kettle brand jalapeno potato chips are too sweet. They sort of remind me of a Korean snack food, which I find too sweet, even when they're supposed to be savory. February 4th, 2026, it was a Wednesday. 7 a.m. Stoked cold brew with half and half and a bowl of cornflakes with milk. 8:30 a.m. Leftover coffee with half and half at the office. 11 a.m. Leftover shells with sugo picante di salsiccia and parmesan, and a cup of coffee with half and half at the office. Cake room, nothing but old page-a-day recipes. 4 p.m. 3 black and white cookies from Whole Foods. Yikes. 6:30 p.m. Grilled Virginia ham, Swiss cheese, thinly sliced onion, and Edmond fallow grain mustard on rustic rye bread from Whole Foods made at home. 7:30 p.m. A cup of Earl Grey tea with half and half made at home. So I brought some leftover coffee to work in a mason jar that I guess I didn't clean well enough because it was my old aniseed jar and the coffee tastes like anise seeds. And yeah, I found black and white cookies at Whole Foods and ate the whole package in 2 days. I can't buy them for myself anymore. I can't stop eating them. They take me into another plane of existence and I just eat them mindlessly. I mean, they were good. They're not the best I've had, but any black and white cookie is amazing to me. I was hiding. I didn't want to share any with Brian. They turned me into a selfish, greedy slob. I was hiding in the kitchen in the dark in the corner, eating them facing the wall so nobody would see me. It reminded me of the time I went over to Brian's parents' house. We're all sitting around watching a hockey game, I think. And Brian's dad crept into the kitchen and in the corner started rustling plastic in the corner and eating a tasty cake in the corner like a little gremlin. And there's crinkling going on for so long that eventually Brian's mom said, "Joe, do you want to offer your guests anything?" And he said no, and he went back and sat back down with us. So that was me with the black and white cookies. The Edmond fallow mustard, is that how you say it? They are reportedly the only mustard still made in Burgundy. My sister brought me this crock of mustard back from her trip to France, mostly based in Paris. It's this little stone or clay, I think it's a stone pot with a corked lid. It reminds me of this similar little pot with a lid that Brian and I used for a salt keeper for years until my obese cat broke it, as he loves to do. And Brian was devastated. I mean, it was like, it originally contained like Herbe de Provence or something. It was some Whole Foods product that was imported from France that Brian got when he worked at Whole Foods. He was devastated when it broke. Anyway, the Edmond Fallot mustard site, they have a lot of great mustards, I will say. They have a lot of interesting flavors. They have a tarragon mustard that I'm interested in trying. They have a walnut mustard. Green peppercorn I'm really interested in green peppercorn mustard. I'll just go through and say the ones that I want. Horseradish for sure. They do cornichon, which I would love. I never buy pickles for some reason. I really need to start buying nice pickles when I see them. They have a black currant mustard, which is interesting. Basil mustard. Yeah. So anyway, this mustard was good. Very grainy, which is fun. But I mean, it's been almost a year since my sister got me this mustard. And using this mustard is part of my 2026 goal to stop living with scarcity mindset. I saw like an infographic, I don't know, a couple months ago, maybe last summer, I don't know. And it was like top 10 signs that you're living with scarcity mindset. And it was just like 10 things that listed exactly how I live my life. And I was like, oh, wow. I was like, Brian, I think I live with scarcity mindset. And Brian was like, yeah, you think? So I'm trying to, and I know this is such a trendy word right now, live with more of an abundance mindset. At some point, and I don't remember what exactly happened, I switched from an abundance to a scarcity mindset. Maybe it was when I graduated college and worked unpaid creative jobs for years on end. That started triggering my financial OCD and now my pantry OCD. I need to start. Well, actually, I don't know. I guess it's come and gone because in the 90s, I would hoard special erasers and lip smackers chapstick in little boxes and never use them because I thought they were too precious. I do have this problem with my clothes. I don't wear a lot of my clothes because I don't want to ruin them. And really what happens is they disintegrate in my closet, especially because they're mostly already vintage, or I grow out of them, or I don't like them anymore. So I never end up wearing them. So I'm trying to change this. Use the products I have, because what am I going to do? Keep this mustard in my cabinet forever and let it go bad? It probably won't go bad, but I'm trying to be more generous with myself. Okay, speaking of being generous, I will add that I like to toast both sides of the bread when I make a grilled cheese. Mostly because I freeze my bread, so I don't want that frozen taste on one side of the bread. And yeah, I made these ham and cheese sandwiches. I think finding the black and white cookies in the grocery store, I subconsciously connected it to the Katz's Deli experience from Christmas, and I was like, let me make a grilled sandwich. Pumpernickel bagels are disappearing, I'm hearing, and I'm going to be on the lookout for them. I would like one. And I made Earl Grey tea because Brian has been sick, very, very sick. And as you know, my obese cat who breaks all my stuff broke my very thinly glassed Japanese teapot that you could brew in. He loves to break things when we go out of town, but I kept the metal filter for it. So the only jar that I have that works, that can fit this filter, is this Le Parfait Super jar with the top removed. It's like one of those, like, it has metal attachments for like a lid that you can flap open. I don't know what those are called. So once the tea is brewed, the jar is really hot. It doesn't have a handle, so you have to pick it up with a towel. And then I clumsily try and pour the tea out of this giantly mouthed jar into mugs, teacups, and then it spills everywhere. I'll probably keep making tea like this for the rest of my life. So I've decided that I have to put towels down on my counter first when I do this, so that they can absorb all the tea that spills everywhere. And now I'm thinking, is this why they call them tea towels? Is this how other people make tea? I do need to get another teapot because every day I'm spilling tea all over the floor. It's running down the cabinets, and then I have to clean the cabinets because they're white. It's actually, it's insane. Okay, February 26th, Thursday. Sorry, February 5th, 2026, Thursday. 8 a.m., counterculture coffee with half and half, made at home. 10 a.m., grilled Swiss cheese on olive oil toasted rustic rye, made at home. 1:30 p.m., Whole Foods restaurant tortilla chips and Taco Deli mild queso with Texas Pete hot sauce. 2:30 p.m., 3 black and white cookies. 4:30 p.m., chicken soup with scallions, garlic, ginger, and basmati rice, made at home. Well, I forgot to add that I ate 2 more black and white cookies. Let me put that in. Yep, I finished the package. 2 black and white cookies. Yikes. Okay. My notes. This grilled cheese that I made was horrendous. I used 2 mismatched pieces of bread. One side was burnt. There's not enough cheese. It was awful. So that didn't satisfy my cheese experience, my cheese carb combo. What I really want and what I really need is a big, fat, greasy slice of cheese pizza. And so because I don't have that, I'm trying all these cheese and carb combinations, trying to fill that void, and it's not working. And I'm just end up eating more things, and I'm never satisfied, so I just keep eating it. It's sort of like, go ahead and buy the nice expensive version of something, because otherwise you're going to buy 10 black sweaters that are inferior, and you're going to end up spending more money on them. So get the expensive one that you're actually going to like and wear, and it's going to last. This Taco Deli is a chain based in Austin, Texas, that I've been to with my friend and her mother. And they took me there one time. I don't know, I've visited them in Austin maybe 4 times now. They took me there and got a bunch of different ramekins of hot sauce. And I took one of them and poured it all over my breakfast tacos, not realizing it was the most spicy of the sauces, called the Doña. And they said, well, good luck. It was hot. I can eat hot food, but it was hot. Anyway, I was excited when I saw that they had queso and salsa in Whole Foods. I love when restaurants mass produce things. So anyway, I tried their queso. It was good. I like white queso. This friend, Claire, in Austin, she used to send me Easy Melt from H-E-B, the white Easy Melt, to make queso. I need to hit her up and have her send me another block of Easy Melt. So something I realized from eating all 10 of the black and white cookies in 2 days is that these unlabeled, I do wonder if they're from Chris's Cookies in New Jersey. I'm not sure. They're not in the regular cookie bar. They're on like a stand near the bread, like one of those tables that they have with random baked goods everywhere. So I'm not sure if it's like from like their official Whole Foods bakeries, like their offsite bakeries, or if it's a partner or what. So they're good. I realized that they are completely dipped in the white icing, and then they are dipped half into a chocolate icing. So the chocolate icing side has double the icing. So I would eat the white side first, the chocolate side second, because double the icing. And I realized that black and white cookies are essentially, well, they are an upside down cake. You make them, they're a little cake that's puffed up. And then, but really what I realized, I like them because they are basically a little Debbie slash Drake slash Hostess snack cake, like a Swiss roll, but just halved. I think that if you took two black and white cookies and sandwiched them together with some cream in the middle, that might be my dream dessert. Let me talk about this chicken soup that I made because it was delicious. I am chasing the pho broth that I would experience in Chicago. So there were definitely plenty of really good pho places in New York, and I never really understood the hype. I was like, okay, like it's soup. I didn't start really liking pho until exploring Vietnamese places in Chicago. And maybe this is a total coincidence, or maybe the Vietnamese places in Chicago do their broth differently. Maybe I just didn't go to the places in New York that do this broth style. In Chicago, everybody seems to do a sweet pho broth, which I am into. And Brian loves to go try pho places here in the Triangle, and I haven't been able to find anything that compares to the Chicago places that we would go. So I basically tried to recreate those flavors in this chicken soup, and it was amazing. So I had homemade chicken stock, which I made. I cut up half an onion. I had 8 cloves of garlic, a large knob of ginger, thinly sliced, 1 dried star anise, 1 tablespoon of lump sugar, 1 tablespoon of soy sauce. I had a mysterious unknown origin packet of Sapporo Ichiban soup mix in my spice cabinet, which was delicious. I had a bunch of scallions cut into 1-inch pieces. When I was making the chicken stock, I used a whole chicken, which was poached. I picked all the meat off, put the bones back in to finish the stock. But I used most of the white meat from that chicken for this soup. And then I made basmati rice for serving. Delicious. I think the star anise and the lump sugar really makes it taste like a pho broth. And that Sapporo Ichiban soup mix, I don't know what was in it, but it was good. Probably MSG. Okay, February 6, 2026. It was a Friday. 7:30 a.m. Stoke, cold brew with half and half, and a bowl of cornflakes with milk. 9:30 a.m. A cup of coffee with half and half at the office. Cake room. New York Times page a day calendar recipes for sheet pan chicken with artichokes and herbs and bricklayer style nachos. 11:30 a.m. A drip coffee with half and half and a breakfast burrito from 1922 by Carolina Coffee Shop in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. 5 p.m. Whole Foods restaurant tortilla chips and Taco Deli mild queso. 7 p.m. Leftover soup and a cup of Earl Grey tea with half and half made at home. Okay. Thank God I finished this Stoke cold brew because I don't know how to pronounce it. I don't know if it's Stock or Stoke. This bricklayer style nacho recipe that I found in the cake room, I'm really into it. I don't know if I would ever make it because you're supposed to make it with bacon, chorizo, and beef, which just seems excessive. But I do love a nacho. Anyway, I decided to go to Carolina Coffee Shop because it's the oldest sit-down restaurant in North Carolina. I talked about the second oldest last week, which is called Snappy Lunch. So there's Carolina Coffee Shop, and then next door to it / attached to it is what is called 1922 by Carolina Coffee Shop. Very confusing. It's more of the Carolina Coffee Shop proper is the sit-down place. 1922 is more like a coffee shop, grab and go. They have sandwiches. I wanted to get this really elaborate BLT that they had online. The menu that they actually had on the board was a lot less impressive, and I ended up getting a breakfast burrito and a really tall drip coffee. I think with tip, it came out to 13 something. Maybe that was before tip. I think before tip it was 13 something. The breakfast burrito was fairly small. I mean, it was good. Hash browns, egg, and cheddar is what it came with. You could add on things. And then they had condiments to go, but their hot sauce option was maybe they were packets of Chinese restaurant hot sauce packets, like packets of hot sauce that were made for a Chinese restaurant. I don't know if they stole them or what. Anyway, my thought with going to this coffee shop is, and really just like thinking about and reporting on food every week now, is much like fashion, much like how we all like can watch The Office or whatever show, 30 Rock, that and look at people's clothes and nothing has really changed. You can't even tell that the show is like 20 years old at this point. Much like fashion, food has stagnated. February 7th, 2026, it was a Saturday. 9 a.m. Counterculture coffee with half and half and 2 sunny eggs with melted Swiss cheese over a slice of heritage grain sourdough toasted in butter made at home. 12 p.m. Kettle jalapeno potato chips. 2:30 p.m. Shane Confectionery buttercreams. 5 p.m. Half of a chicken salad sandwich with onion, pickled banana peppers, and romaine lettuce on heritage grain sourdough toasted in butter made at home. 7 p.m. Bluebell coffee and oatmeal cream pie flavored ice creams. So, huge disappointment with these Shane Confectionery buttercreams. I ordered a box of chocolates from them, like a heart-shaped box of chocolates for them. When the package arrived, it was in the smallest box I've ever seen. Brian was like, "Oh, these are the chocolates you ordered." And I said, "That's impossible. There's no way that a box of chocolates is in that box." The box of chocolates was laughably small. It's probably the size of my hand. Almost $30. The chocolates themselves are maybe the same width as a nickel. They're incredibly small. There are only a few flavors, and they all taste like soap. I really wanted these to be good. I wanted to support a local business. Seems like they're doing a lot of like heritage chocolates or like traditional, old school, keeping food ways alive. And maybe that's what it is, and I just don't like that. I think my allegiance is with Dietz's chocolates. I wish I'd ordered chocolates from them instead. And maybe I just like that more because that's what I grew up with. Or a Munzen's. So anyway, let me talk more about these Shane Confectionery buttercream flavors. The official flavors listed on the website they said like these are the possible flavors that you could get: coconut, maple walnut, raspberry, and vanilla bean. So I mean, I haven't gotten a raspberry one so far, unfortunately. That would be amazing. I've definitely had the coconut. The maple walnut, yes. That one was confusing to me. I often confuse maple and coffee in my head if you don't tell me what it is. I do that with the Dietz's maple buttercreams too. I always think, oh, it's coffee. The maple walnut tastes like coffee and soap. And the vanilla bean is very soapy as well. I might give them a second chance and try their stamped iced gingerbread when the winter rolls around again, but I'm not going to get chocolates from them again, I don't think, even though they look beautiful on like the Farmer Duck illustration, that childhood book, Farmer Duck, where the farmer eats the box of chocolates in bed. They do recreate that perfectly. I don't know. I'll have to think about it. I still have chocolates from them. Maybe I'll eat the rest of them. I don't know. This chicken salad was good. I used the other half of the chicken that I made with the stock, mostly the dark meat, and I salted it and put a bunch of Duke mayonnaise in there, Put some of the Edmond Fallow grain mustard, diced onion, diced pickled banana peppers, and then a fair amount of the pickled banana pepper vinegar, garlic powder, salt and pepper. I thought for a generic Whole Foods bread on like the $5 shelf, this like heritage grain sourdough was actually pretty good. I do find that it's really hard to find good bakery bread that uses organic flour. I think that Bolted Bread might be the only place that does that, and they're still like an hour away from me. I have that local bakery to me, that bakery that is local to me in Oxford called Strong Arm Bakery. I think their prices are a little bit out of control for what it is, especially considering that they're not using organic flour. If they were using organic flour, I would reconsider. They have great bread, but eating it on a regular basis, if it's not organic, I don't know about that. There's so many bad pesticides in wheat. February 8th, 2026, Sunday. 8 a.m. Stoke cold brew with half and half. 10 a.m. Fried basmati rice with peas, scrambled eggs, onion, and romaine lettuce made at home. 12 p.m. Whole Foods restaurant style tortilla chips and taco deli white queso with jalapenos. 2:30 p.m. A bit of pot roast from Brian's parents and a handful of kettle jalapeno potato chips. 5 p.m. Shawarma spiced baby back ribs with thinly sliced onions made at home. Did I eat anything else? Oh, kind of. Well, I'll get into it. This was a great fried rice. I really fried the hell out of the rice first. And I think basmati rice, I love a basmati rice. It just stays drier and the grains are more individual than the jasmine rice that I always make. So I think it's great for fried rice. Fried it really well. And I gotta say, the frozen peas from Whole Foods are such a higher quality than the frozen peas I've been getting from Food Line. Like such a noticeable difference. They're big and plump compared to the Food Line peas, which are all wrinkled and small. So this was a nice fried rice, and I had a little bit of weird, like a half of a romaine lettuce head left. I used the other half for the chicken salad sandwiches, so I love putting some lettuce in some fried rice. I went back to Whole Foods and got more Taco Deli products because I loved the queso so much. I ended up upgrading and getting the medium version, the spicier version, which is called white queso with jalapenos. It's very pink. I don't know why, but because it's called white queso, but it's pinker than the other one, and it's hot. I mean, it has good heat to it, I would say. We were supposed to have a family dinner this week, which was sort of announced last minute, and I already had plans to make baby back ribs. Plus, Brian was still grossly sick, so we skipped the family dinner. Brian's parents insisted on bringing dinner over to us regardless. They sent over a plastic bag of pot roast, green beans, potatoes, mashed potatoes, carrots stewed in a reddish liquid. I don't know what it is. A loaf of oat-covered pumpernickel bread, 2 slices of chocolate chess pie, and a pint of Haagen-Dazs caramel ice cream, which I think it's now 14 ounces, so you can't call it a pint anymore. Anyway, so I had some of the pot roast from that. Let me talk about the ribs. I got a 2.75 pound rack of baby back ribs at Whole Foods. They were on sale. I thought, well, I'm not going to watch the Super Bowl, but it would be fun to eat Super Bowl food. Hence why I ate queso with tortilla chips and ribs, which were all eaten before the Super Bowl even started. Even though I don't want to watch the Super Bowl, it doesn't mean I can't eat Super Bowl food. So I rubbed these baby back ribs all over with this chicken shawarma spice mix that I got from the Lebanese place Sasul in Raleigh. I set it in the fridge for about 2.5 hours. Then I cooked the ribs at 225 for about 3.5 hours. and then it like wrapped up in foil, and then I unwrapped them and cooked them at 275 for about another hour until they were like, not falling off the bone, but super tender. But, the meat still stuck to the bone, so you could eat it off. And then I served it covered in thinly sliced onions to sort of cut through all that fat. And then I made a sauce from the pan drippings, which were a little fatty. I did not expect these ribs to be so fatty. The pan drippings, I added a quarter cup of ketchup, maybe 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar, a tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce, maybe a tablespoon of cornstarch, a tablespoon of sugar, and salt. It was really good I poured it all over the ribs for serving. My parents make oven ribs a lot. They recommended the Smitten Kitchen recipe, which looks good. I cannot stand the name Smitten Kitchen. It bothers the hell out of me for some reason. So I refused to make their recipes. I did a deeper dive into the Serious Eats recipe for ribs, which I sort of followed more of their cooking guidelines and their, they were doing more of like a dry rib, which I would initially plan on doing. I didn't actually initially plan on making a sauce in addition to the spice rub, but I think it was a good compliment. So the Serious Eats recipe, it was also like for this, it was for 2.5 pound St. Louis style rib racks. So I did have to adjust the cooking time for the baby back ribs. People were arguing in the comments because the salt, people were saying it was way too salty. The author was in the comments trying to figure out what was going on, and I guess he updated the recipe to say this is based off of Diamond Crystal kosher salt by volume. If you're using something else, cut it in half. That's why you have to do salt by weight, because the salt by volume thing is so vastly different. Anyway, Brian and I watched almost all of season 11 of Alone instead of watching the Super Bowl, and eating a full rack of ribs while watching people starve on Alone was insane. Okay. Bye.